There is only one berth remaining in our tournament of gymnastics. We're in Denver, Colorado to fill in the final qualifiers for our championship round. Vying for the women's last spot are Marna Neubauer and Wendy Bruce. Wendy Bruce controlled her first round opponent from vaulting to florex and both events in between. In the qualifier, Marna Neubauer had a strong vault, but needed terrific tumbling to move into this round against Wendy Bruce. The two men fighting for the last spot are Mike Williams and Patrick Kirksey. In the first round, Patrick Kirksey was so solid that he set a 7-point margin of victory record to spearhead him into this second round. His opponent, Mike Williams, had a dogfight. Winning only 3 of 6 events, it was sheer determination that put him into round 2. Round 1 scores are erased, but the momentum of excellence is not. ESPN, the Total Sports Network, and the United States Gymnastics Federation present the 1989 U.S. Challenge. Today it is the end of the semifinals, featuring Wendy Bruce against Marna Neubauer, and for the men, Patrick Kirksey challenges Mike Williams. Welcome to the Denver Coliseum for another Friday night of gymnastics. Hello everyone, I'm Leandra Riley, and this is our final semifinal matchup for you here on ESPN. Let's take a look at the brackets first for the women. Of our 6 semifinalists, 2 have advanced to the finals. This is our third and final matchup between Wendy Bruce and Marna Neubauer. On the men's side, our field of 12 was first paired to 6, and our 2 finalists already are Lance Ringnauld and Mark Warbutton, and now it is up to Mike Williams to take on Patrick Kirksey for the third and final slot. And here to talk about gymnastics is an Olympic gold medalist, Bart Connor. And Bart, let's first talk about the men. We have a tough matchup between Mike Williams and Patrick Kirksey.
This will be an interesting pairing, actually. Mike Williams is a lot of fun to watch. He can do a lot of tricks, but he doesn't have the competitive experience that Patrick Kirksey has. Patrick really is mellowing into a really fine, solid competitor for the U.S. team.
On the women's side, it is Wendy Bruce. You saw her here on ESPN winning the mixed pairs. She's up against Marna Neubauer. Should be a good matchup.
Marna is rather inexperienced. She's on the junior team. Wendy really is starting to come into her own. She's very exciting to watch.
All right, when we come back, we will have the fight for the final spot in our final championships. Stay with us. The semifinals are coming up in a moment. We are back at the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge here in Denver, Colorado. We are going to begin with Olympic rotation order, and that means men's 4 exercises first. The ladies will begin on vaulting, but since the women only compete on 4 events, we have 2 extra events for the men. They go on 6, so the women will not be involved in this round. Mike Williams is our first competitor. Again, he is up against Patrick Kirksey. Floor exercise, our first rotation. Mike Williams is 20 years of age, and he attends school at Houston Baptist University.
He is a very, very explosive tumbler, and this will be an interesting matchup because Mike got a 9.5 in the preliminary, Patrick Kirksey got a 9.75, and yet I think Mike can do better. Let's see his mount. Nice, very high, 1.5 twisting, 1 and 3. He's taking his time as he sets up for this press to handstand. Good tight line. Once again, the judges are looking for mostly tumbling elements, but then they need to show a strength element. They need to show good balance on one leg or one hand, but it's primarily a tumbling event still. That's a nice combination. Front through to back 1.5 to a punch front.
To a chassé tour, jeté cartwheel. Interesting dance combination.
Front 1 and 3. Good combination for a third tumbling run. There's that balance on one foot, the oblique scale. Here's his last run. Should be a tuck double. Good form on the tuck double, just a little short on the landing.
Mike Williams from Houston, Texas.
Once again, let's see what happens on this first pass. It's a 1.5 twisting, 1 3/4 somersault. In the tucked position, you can see he dives, rolls out of it, no problem. The second tumbling run, used front and back tumbling. There's a pike front step out through to back tumbling right there, back 1.5 twist, right to another front move, front flip. This is an excellent double back dismount. Good form in the air. He's just a little short, but you can see he's trying to squeeze his legs together, keep good form, just a hair short on the landing.
The score for Mike Williams is 9.60. Now in the first round he received a 9.5, so he actually improved here in the second round. Again, a reminder though, first round scores do not carry through. It is only the 6 events that you compete tonight that will be added together to determine the all-around finalist.
Patrick opens his routine with a full twisting double back, and what's interesting to note is how clean the form is. These moves tend to look a little sloppy in the air, and yet at every given point, his opening tumbling run looks so clean and so precise. Here we go, full in. Just beautiful. Here's his front tumbling pass, front, handspring, front flip-flop, front full. Once again, he is attempting to cover the complete 40 by 40 area. So he opened with one diagonal pass, came back across the diagonal. Now he's going down the side. He's fulfilling a requirement here by doing a press to handstand, although that's not a requirement. The judges need to see a strength move of at least B value or medium value. Now he's made his way into the corner, and right here is another requirement, the Y scale, or a balance on either one foot or one hand, and most of the gymnasts select the 1 foot balance. It's much easier. And then the dismount covering the rest of the area, tuck double back.
He too is a little under-rotated.
The gymnasts are tumbling really high today, and I think they're opening up just a little early because they're trying to really gauge those landings.
Again, the score he wants to beat is 9.60.
This is so clean. Watch the leg form on this full in. He doesn't even grab his knees. He makes the rotation so easily, keeping his knees together the whole time. Perfect form and a perfect landing. That's the way it's supposed to be done. His second tumbling run was the front work. Front step out, front handspring, front flip flop to a front flip with a full twist.
And Patrick Kirksey receives a 9.8, setting another record for the USA single elimination format. 9.8, the highest score ever in the US Challenge. Mike Williams and Patrick Kirksey are really close together after one rotation. Patrick Kirksey has a 0.2 of 1 point lead, 9.8 to 9.6. The women have yet to compete. They are going to begin on the vault, where Wendy Bruce will vault first, following Marna Nobauer. Now, Marna Nobauer will get an opportunity to see the scores that Wendy Bruce achieves. Each vault will be scored separately for Wendy. The first vault will be tallied, then the second vault will be tallied, and the higher of the two is the score that will carry as her all-around performance.
Wendy is a very, very powerful vaulter. Wow. Tremendous distance on that vault, and actually I know she could even do it better. She's doing the Yurchenko full in the laid out position. Watch her hands, they almost are off the back of the horse. She's way out there, and she's really does a good job at turning that into an incredible score. Watch this round off, and you can see here she's just hands just about off the back side of the horse. She keeps her body laid out, does a full twist, and nails the landing.
9.85 the score for that first vault, and we call that making chicken salad out of chicken feet, because her hands were not on that horse. How she did that, that defies description.
She in fact trains with the top gymnast in the U.S. right now, Brandy Johnson, down at Brown's Gymnastics Academy with Kevin Brown. They're good vaulters. Oh, that's the one.
There you see Kevin Brown in the background.
That time she got her hands on the horse and she got a good square push. But I have to admit, coming off the first vault where her hands almost completely slipped, she wasn't worried about making and nailing the landing this time. She was just worrying about getting a good push as she did there. Straight body, full turn, one hop.
Ironically, her second vault received a score of 9.80. So it is the score from the first vault that is going to carry 9.85. A nice way for Wendy Bruce to start the semifinals of the 1989 U.S. Challenge. Her opponent is Marna Neubauer, a young lady who is new on the gymnastics scene. She is just 14 years old. Marna Neubauer is coached by Al Fong.
They have a very strong program, the Great American Gymnastics Express in Blue Springs, Missouri. Okay, now that was a Yurchenko vault in the laid out position. She didn't do the twist as we saw Wendy Bruce attempt. Once again, it's a round off onto the board. Back handspring onto the horse. Good, clean, straight body position in the Yurchenko vault. Watch the hand placement, just right on top of the horse there. That was about right. Actually, the gymnasts want to have their hands on the board side of the horse so that they can use a little bit of the angle of the curvature of the horse to get a good solid block to get them up in the air. That vault, by the way, has a maximum value of 9.7.
She received a 9.45. Here's her second attempt.
A little bit better that time and a great landing.
The score she wants to beat is 9.85. Interestingly, she's 5 feet 4 inches tall, kind of long for a gymnast.
Good position that time, a little bit better push on the horse. Good straight body position. This time, she was farther from the horse, and of course, that's one of the things the judges are looking for, height and distance from the horse. Nice clean form in the air, and of course, a great landing.
Her second vault was scored higher than her first, but it's still 0.3 of a point off of Wendy Bruce's number. Marna Neubauer receives a 9.55 for her second vault. That is the score that will carry into her all-around total. The men are ready to compete on their second apparatus. Patrick Kirksey will be up first. Pommel horse is the second event.
This is going to be a critical event in this challenge because Patrick Kirksey is outstanding here. Mike Williams had a little trouble in the qualifying round, so if Williams is going to give Patrick Kirksey a run for his money, he's going to have to do it here. Loops, travel up to the pommel, pommel loop, work without the pommel, very difficult stuff. But notice the nice, clean rhythm. He never rushes. He always seems in control. It's a very impressive style Patrick Kirksey has. I know when I was on the pommel horse, I was always panicked and swinging just a little faster than I needed to be. He seems totally in control and never really worried that he's going to make any mistakes.
I like that traveling dismount. 5 foot 10 inch Patrick Kirksey from Atlanta, Georgia.
At the end here, he does a loop around, up to a handstand, full turn off as he travels down the length of the horse. Very nice dismount. Good ending to a really clean routine.
After one rotation, he's 0.2 of a point ahead of Mike Williams. He received a 9.8 for his floor routine. Mike Williams received a 9.6. And now he's up first on the pommel horse. And he achieves a 9.6 for that pommel horse routine. And Mike Williams has got to do a pretty solid job now to stay close.
This will be really interesting to see if Mike can settle down and power through a very clean routine, opening room for very few deductions, because if he's going to make it a close competition with Patrick Kirksey, he's going to have to hit on his weaker events. He has 3 really outstanding events and 3 events where he can invite some errors. So this is one of them. He has to hit a clean routine here if he's going to make it a good challenge.
He needs a 9.85 if he wants to take the lead on this event.
Back more. Few minor form breaks. Oh, he's in trouble. Now he was attempting a very difficult move down the length of the horse. Let's see if we can see what happens. He's going to reach all the way down the length of the horse on a front in Stockley out. Oh, he just sort of leaned too far initially, and he was completely out of control at the first part. He'll lose a half a point, and then he has to pick up the routine from the point where he fell off. Right there with the handstand. Oh, he's having a lot of trouble now. He doesn't have a really fluid style. He has some big tricks, but he needs a little cleaner line and a little more rhythm in the routine. It's a little choppy. Good dismount.
Mike Williams in the sport for 12 years.
He says this is one of his favorite routines. Although it's the hardest for him, he still really likes it. This is the flares. Travels down without the pommels, difficult element. But you can see his feet are flapping in the breeze a little bit. He needs to have a little tighter form and pay attention to the details if he wants to get some big scores.
And the score for Mike Williams on that pommel horse routine, 8.50. That puts him 1.1 behind Patrick Kirksey in this event. Welcome back to the Denver Coliseum. I'm Leandra Riley along with Bart Connor, and after one rotation, it is Wendy Bruce ahead of Marna Neubauer by a .25 margin. On the men's side, as they move into their third event, it is Patrick Kirksey ahead of Mike Williams by a 1.3 margin. The men are now going to compete on the still rings. The women will move to the uneven parallel bars, and first up is Mike Williams.
Mike had a lot of trouble in the preliminary round on the rings. He only scored an 8.65. He's going to need to hold his handstand solid today. Skip to an L. Press to handstand. Now this is where he got in trouble before. He's going to lower right there to an inverted cross. Better than before, but still not clean enough. Some flange in the straddle position. He really struggles here. He's a really big guy, over 150 pounds, and I'm sure that it's always been that the bigger guys have had more trouble maintaining control on the rings. There's a good giant swing. Great dismount. As always, he's a real trickster. He can do a lot of big tricks, but he needs a little more polish and he needs to clean up his handstand positions.
Mike Williams heading into his sophomore year at Houston Baptist.
He does a giant across the top, giant dislocate, and then really excellent form on a full twisting double. Notice how he keeps his knees tight together as he does two flips and one twist. Great form, good landing. He had trouble early though. He really doesn't have a good solid control of the handstand. As you can see, he's even showing one of his teammates that he knew he was in trouble when he started to lower for the inverted cross.
9.1 is his score, much better than his preliminary score of 8.65, so a big improvement for Mike Williams. Patrick Kirksey is up next, and he has a 1.3 lead over Mike Williams after two events. And standing right behind him is his college coach, Francis Allen. You talked about weight on this event. Patrick Kirksey weighs 165 pounds.
He's about 15 pounds heavier than Mike Williams.
But 2 inches taller.
He's very strong. Front lever, kip to cross. I think it's just a matter of training and conditioning because they're both really big guys. But you can see here, Patrick just rips through this routine. Two Yamawakis back to back. Notice the position in the handstand. Good straight line, good locked out arms. That's the way you want to do the handstand. Ooh, a little trouble there. He caught that giant just right though. Giant dislocate, go full twisting double. Exactly the same dismount that we saw Mike Williams use.
Patrick Kirksey is 20 years of age and has been in the sport for 12 years.
There's a cast through to this piked double front within the rings, and he does 2 of them in a row. Good combination. And a back up rise to an L. He showed swing elements, he showed good strength elements, and a very nice dismount. Just exactly like Mike Williams, he did a full twisting double with excellent form, even pointed his toes in the air. That's tough to do.
A fine job by Patrick Kirksey. He receives a 9.65, and his advantage over Mike Williams grows. Let's move over now to the women's half of the competition. We are at the uneven parallel bars. This is the second event. Marna Neubauer will go up first. She'll be followed by Wendy Bruce. Marna Neubauer, 14-year-old gymnast, born in Independence, Missouri, trains with Al Fong at the Great American Gymnastics Express.
She says the bars is her favorite event. She scored a 9.25 in the preliminaries. Cast a handstand, reverse hecht, good job. Straddle back to the low bar and a toe on toe off. I like that combination. Nice giant. 2 giants in a row. And a tuck double back. Good landed. That'll score pretty well. Although she did leave out one of the requirements. The judges need to see a change in direction, and she did not do that. She needs to do either a half or a full turn to fulfill that requirement. She did not do that. Here's the opening move. Cast a handstand. Reverse hecht. Just right. And then this straddle back to the low bar. Very nicely done. And she goes right into the toe on toe off. That's a good combination. But keep in mind, she faced this direction the whole routine. She did not do any turning. Although she finished with a good giant to a tuck double back, the judges will make a deduction from the composition requirement that she did not do any turns.
Wendy.
Marna Neubauer began her gymnastics career at the age of 7.
Come on, Wendy. Come on, Wendy.
She is currently a freshman in high school at St. Mary's High School in Blue Springs, Missouri. And now you're looking at Wendy Bruce, who is waiting for Marna's score before she can go.
I'm sure the reason why it's taking long for the score is the judges are discussing the fact that she left out one of the requirements. As you see Sharon Weber, the head judge there.
And we've just been given the score for Marna Neubauer. It is 9.30.
Go, Wendy. Come on, Wendy.
And that'll give the green flag to Wendy Bruce. She is 16 years of age. She's been in this sport for 9 years. She too began at the age of 7.
She has a really hot routine. In fact, she does a reverse hecht at the beginning here. That's just about the best one in the world. It is so high and technically so good. Watch this. Cast a handstand. Here it comes. That's incredible. Very nicely done. Cast right back up. Giant. Half turn down to a front or a Jaeger, and it reverses to the low bar. As you notice here, she's done some turning elements, 2 half turns to this point, so she did fulfill that requirement. But look at the power on the giant swings and the high tuck double.
Boy, she rotated around quick on that double.
She really is exciting to watch. I like her style. It's fast and it's aggressive. Very impressive.
She sure has been consistent on ESPN. We saw her win the mixed pairs, and now we're watching her do a good job here.
Look at the height on that reverse hecht. And she does a good combination here. She casts a handstand, giant over the top, and then does a half turn through to a Jaeger. 2 really hot release moves back to back. And once again, she finishes with a powerful giant as she crosses the top, sets up a tuck double back, a little sloppy in the air. Looks like she could crank for a triple flip.
And the judges awarded her performance quite generously, and she deserved it. 9.775 for Wendy Bruce on the uneven parallel bars. After 3 events, Patrick Kirksey leads Mike Williams by a 1.85 margin. On the women's side, after 2 events, it is .775 Bruce over Neubauer. And right now, the women have moved to the balance beam. The men have rotated to the vault. Up first is Wendy Bruce. Bruce was born in Plainview, New York. Her family now resides in North Lauderdale, Florida, but she trains and lives away from home at Altamont Springs.
Her mother recently, in fact, quit her job as a computer programmer and has moved up to live with her in the Orlando area so that she can help support her in her effort to be the best gymnast that she can be. Nice combination of switch leg split leaps. Here comes her acro series. Back handspring, layout, nice. The judges need to see acro series like she performed there, acro elements like that layout. They need to see work down low on the beam as she's performing there. As well as the all-important full turn, which every gymnast must do. Very good punch front. Slight bobble. Good tuck double back. Really nice, clean tuck double back. Good finish.
Wendy Bruce at the 1989 Belgium Gym Masters. She finished second in the all-around.
She does a lot of good tricks. You can see here she does back handspring to a layout. But I don't feel that the exercise was complete. The dance elements weren't incorporated very smoothly into the exercise, although she continues to just blast away with big tricks. And what a nice tuck double back finish.
The judges give Wendy Bruce a score of 9.6 for her balance beam performance. Again, she is .775 ahead of Marna Neubauer heading into this third event. Now, Marna Neubauer has the luxury of training at home. You had mentioned that Wendy's mother was moving in to help Wendy out. I asked Wendy, what is the most difficult part about living away from home? And she said, you just don't get rides anywhere. The coach tries to help you out, but you want to maybe go shopping or go to a party or just do something, and you hate to impose on your coach. So she's glad her mom's there for at least chauffeuring duties.
Boy, Marna got off to a good start with a round-off layout on. Series of leaps. There's a front handspring. Very difficult landing because when you're flipping forward like that, the landing is blind. Flipping backward, of course, you get an opportunity to see the landing before you get there. There's a good layout.
Beam is just 4 inches wide, 4 feet off the ground.
Back handspring, layout full. That is a really tough series at the end of the routine to put 4 acro elements together in a row. Quite a few girls use this series here, flip-flop layout, in the early part of the routine, but very few set it up right into the dismount like that, the back with a full.
Boy, that's putting all of your eggs in one basket.
Once again, it's back handspring, layout. Very difficult series of 3 elements. She takes it all the way through to the 4th element in a row. Great combination.
And the judges give her a 9.575. Wendy Bruce received a 9.6. It's still very close between these two ladies with 1 event remaining. The men are now in their 4th event. And this is vaulting. Patrick Kirksey will be up first. In men's vaulting competition, they are allowed to vault only once.
The stronger he has to be. Let's watch the vault now of Mr. Patrick Kirksey.
And you saw on the screen where it said at the Olympic Festival, he finished as a silver medalist. You saw that here on ESPN.
Patrick and Mike are very evenly matched on vaulting. They're both very strong, very powerful. It's going to come down to who sticks the landings. Little short there. He was looking for the stick, and I think he held back a little bit. Here's the Kasamatsu in the laid out position. There's a cartwheel on. Backflip off with a 3/4 turn, and he's a little short. Shoulders in front of his feet, and there's not a lot you can do when you're short of rotation.
The score for Patrick Kirksey, 9.40.
You'll note that he was in a little close to the horse. In contrast, when we see Mike Williams do his vault, watch how far from the horse he lands.
Mike Williams and Patrick Kirksey are both 20 years of age.
Mike scored a 9.65 in the preliminaries on this vault. It is really an interesting looking vault because it's a handspring front with a full turn, a very late full turn. It's a complicated looking skill. That's because it is.
And just thinking about it boggles the mind, let alone physically performing it.
Watch the airtime and the power on this. Look at him, barrel down. That is such a neat vault.
That was a great vault. And he truly runs down at full speed.
Now there's really 3 important elements that are happening here, and he does a very good job in keeping them separate. He has good power, but watch, here's the handspring. Now watch, he tucks into a front flip, and at the end, now he does a full twist. 3 very separate elements, and he did them all very cleanly. It's hard to separate those elements when you're doing 3 airborne elements back-to-back. Handspring, front, and then a full. Good job.
And with that good job, he has narrowed the gap between himself and Patrick Kirksey. He outscores him 9-7 to 9-4 on the vault. The semifinals are almost over for the women. Wendy Bruce leads Marna Neubauer by 0.8 of a point going into their 4th and final event. On the men's side, it is their 5th of 6 events that are coming up. It is Patrick Kirksey ahead of Mike Williams by a 1.55 margin. The men are up first. We are going to the parallel bars. Mike Williams is up first, followed by Patrick Kirksey.
For those of you who are not familiar with the chalk, it is nothing more than powdered milk of
We mentioned at the top that Mike has some really outstanding events and some events where he tends to be inconsistent. Although he has won medals on the parallel bars in international events, in the preliminaries here he scored only an 8.85.
Michael Williams.
If you remember, he had problems on the rings maintaining good, solid handstand positions. He has a tendency to underbalance his handstands here on the parallel bars, as we saw in the qualifying round. Let's see if he can improve that today.
And you can see he has been given the green flag. He may now begin his routine.
Whoa. Slipped a little bit on that peach to straddle cut. Pressed a handstand. Whoa, Diamidov, good fight, little form break. Trouble on that Stutz. And a tuck double back dismount. It's interesting to note that on his good events, he's incredible. High bar, floor, vaulting, he's so confident. On the events that he has a little trouble in terms of basics, in terms of techniques, he really isn't very confident. That exercise he could have done much better on, but he panicked a little bit. He did this Stutz here, a little sloppy on the form. He could have fought that, he's a very strong kid, and regained control. But instead he laid away, continued the exercise to a tuck double back, a little rushed, a little sloppy on the form. When his confidence level comes up, his gymnastic ability will surface because he can do a lot of the important tricks here. He's just not very comfortable on the parallel bars.
8.40, the score for Mike Williams. Fortunately for him, he still has one event remaining. He can rally. Patrick Kirksey, who has really just looked brilliant in this competition so far. In the first round, he received a 9.8 on the parallel bars. So this is really a strong event for him.
There's no question that the parallel bar performance that we saw him do in the qualifying here was the best routine I've ever seen him put together. He hit all the positions just right and nailed the dismount.
Bart, a lot of folks at home have never been on a parallel bar or a horizontal bar. The rails that are used on the P-bars are really much wider than what we see in the horizontal bar.
They're pretty thick, and they're actually made out of fiberglass with wood lamination. The lamination, of course, helps in the grip. Back tosses, good job. The second one right to the handstand. There's the move we've seen before. It's called a Healy twirl, 2 in a row. Beautiful. And a Diamondov. I love his style. He never rushes. He takes his time. He squeezes every position just right. Pike double back. Oh, that's going to score really well.
Good job by Patrick Kirksey from the University of Nebraska.
These back tosses were really beautiful. Good height, nice clean line. The first one was over a little bit, but the second one, he popped it just right to the top, nailed the handstand. This pike double back is excellent. Great form, good tight legs, pulls it right around, pops the landing.
And the score that Patrick Kirksey has received is 9.90, and that is a meet record. The old record was 9.85, set by Phil Cahoy back in 1982. The 9.9 by Patrick Kirksey is a new standard in the U.S. Challenge. If altitude's supposed to be a factor, it's having a reverse effect on him. He's getting stronger as this meet goes on. And now it is the final appearance by this lady. She is on floor exercise. You're looking at Marna Neubauer. She trails by 0.8 of a point. If she does a solid job, that puts the pressure on Wendy Bruce to hit everything.
Double back. Handspring, front with a full. Pretty pirouettes. It's a round off back handspring with a front. Here's her third, final run. Nice clean double flip.
A great finish by Marna Neubauer, the 14-year-old young lady from Missouri.
She didn't really have the exercise packed with difficulty. Her first tumbling run was a good, clean, tucked double back. She's just a junior, however, and she'll, I'm sure, improve here. She needs to be doing a pike double back, a laid-out double back, or a full twisting double back. But you can see she has the proper mechanics. She'll get better as she gets a little bit stronger. Her second pass was good. This is a front handspring, front flip-flop to a front flip with a full. Just a little short there as she finishes with a cartwheel. And her last pass, once again, is a double full. When she gets a little stronger, she'll want this to be a double backflip. But needless to say, that was still a clean double full.
The score for Marna Neubauer for that routine, 9.50. Now, we have seen in other competitions where the leader has needed every 10th of a point going into the final round. Wendy Bruce has an 0.8 of a point lead. She'll need an 8.725 to hang on to the all-around title.
Wendy, of course, trains with Kevin Brown at the Brown's Gymnastics Academy. Her training partner is Brandy Johnson, one of the most powerful gymnasts I've ever seen. Oh, wow, that was an easy full in.
And of course, she'll get a chance to compete against Brandy Johnson and Lisa Panzeroni in the finals, and that's what she's fighting for right now.
Short. She opened up a little early on that tuck double.
And that's where those 0.8 of a point are going to help her out.
This is a very, very springy mat. Seems like just about every few years, AAI, the equipment company, comes out with a mat that's just a little hotter, a little springier. Easy double full.
Wendy Bruce, the leader by 0.8 of a point, had trouble with one of her tumbling runs. We'll have to see what the judges say.
Her opening run, she really barrels across there. It's a round off back handspring full in. What rotation. She finishes this so easily. Look at her just drop out of the sky. On her second pass, note she had a little trouble. Keep in mind, she got in trouble overdoing it, not underdoing it. She was so high and she flipped so fast that she actually kicked out a little early right there and misjudged the landing. Although it's a major deduction for putting her hands down, if you're going to have a fault, that's the way to do it, overdoing things.
Marna Neubauer beat Wendy Bruce on the floor exercise, but in the all-around total, those 0.8 of a point made a difference. Wendy Bruce is our winner, 9.325 to 9.5. Wendy Bruce is our final qualifier into the final round by 0.625 over Marna Neubauer. But it is not yet over for the men. Patrick Kirksey against Mike Williams. The advantage goes to Kirksey by a 3.05 margin heading into the high bar event. There is one berth remaining for the men in the finals. Lance Ringnold won our first semifinal. Mark Warburton won our second semifinal. And Pat Kirksey is out in front by a comfortable margin, looking for that third spot.
It's been really exciting to see Patrick coming into his own. He seems so confident. He can do a lot of important, big skills. Reverse hect to a giant. Here comes another reverse hect. I just like the fact that he never seems to be in a hurry. He takes his time, looks for all the right positions. He's thinking about rhythm of the routine rather than just getting through. It's nice style. Good speed for the dismount. Here comes a triple. Oh, he stays on his feet.
An exciting finish by Patrick Kirksey.
Here's the reverse hex. Nice release position. Regrasp was right where he wants it to be. Set up after a giant to do another one. Good form. This is a great triple. Very high, plenty of flip. In fact, almost just a little too much. Grabs those knees, cranks it around with the cowboy. Pulled it just a little too far through, but did a good job at not sitting down.
The score for Patrick Kirksey, identical to his preliminary score. He gets a 9.40. In the preliminary rounds, Mike Williams had a tremendous performance on the high bar, getting a 9.6.
Fields, Michael Williams.
He's chalking up the leather handguards here. These leather straps, of course, are just a little bit longer than the palm of his hand, and at the end, they use a dowel rod so that when he does a one-arm giant swing, and he does a really great combination of one-arm elements in this routine, the dowel rod gives you a little extra grip.
Come on, Mike.
Use it to kind of form a hook around the bar and transfers the pressure to your wrist rather than to your fingers.
Do you use a different dowel bar for each hand when you're doing one-arm moves, or do you still
Some guys do, depending on what kind of elements they're doing. Some use a bigger dowel for the one-arm giant swing hand. Do a twisting combination, one arms, stalder. There's a one-arm to a ganger. Good job. Notice the contrasting style here, though. Mike can do a lot of big tricks, but he seems a little bit in a hurry. He rushes through the routine. You watch Patrick take a nice, fluid style. Mike will develop that, because look at that. He can do all the big tricks. Double twisting, double back. But as Mike gets a little more confident and he matures a little bit more as a gymnast, he'll start to settle down and he'll start to find all those clean positions. Needless to say, big tricks, 2 flips, 2 twists. Boy, he cranks that, finishes it way up in the air, at least 6 feet off the ground before he finished.
Good job by Mike Williams, but Patrick Kirksey is our winner. He has defeated Mike Williams. It is Kirksey who will advance to the finals. We'll be back with Mike Williams' score and a recap, but first these messages. Mike Williams received a 9.65 on the high bar, but it was not enough as Patrick Kirksey had a commanding lead, and he is our third and final finalist in the championship rounds. For the women, it was Wendy Bruce, our third qualifier. She defeats Marna Neubauer 38.55 to 37.925. Wendy Bruce and Patrick Kirksey are now with Bart Connor.
First of all, congratulations, Patrick and Wendy, for making it into the finals. After the first round, you said you weren't pleased. It was a lot better today, especially with the 9.6 on beam.
Yeah, I did a lot better on beam and bars, but I messed up on floor this time.
Now, what are you going to do to improve that?
Well, I just didn't give enough on my second pass, and tomorrow I'll give it all I got.
Well, best of luck in the finals.
Thanks.
Patrick, things have been rolling smoothly for you. You qualified through the first couple of rounds pretty easily. Now you're in with the big boys in the finals, Lance Ringnauld and your teammate, Mark Warburton. How does that feel?
Well, it's going to be a change from what I'm used to, just because I didn't feel I had that much pressure on me. But
what are you going to have to do in the finals?
I'm just going to have to concentrate on doing my routines and not pay attention to the other guys. You know, I need to go out there and hit like I've been doing. If I can do that, I'll be really happy.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Leandra?
It's time for us to say so long to Marna Neubauer and Mike Williams. They were eliminated this day in the semifinals, but we'll get a chance to see Wendy Bruce and Patrick Kirksey again. Bart and I will be back with a final thought. The semifinals are now over. Wendy Bruce joins Brandy Johnson and Lisa Panzeroni in the finals. On the men's side, Patrick Kirksey will now face Lance Ringnauld and Mark Warburton, and you can watch these three gentlemen fight for the gold medal honors on August 4th, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when Lance Ringnauld, Mark Warburton, and Patrick Kirksey will fight for the gold medal at the 1989 U.S. Gymnastics Challenge. For Bart Connor, I'm Leandra Riley saying so long from Denver, Colorado.